Worth it or not? That's the question of the day. Your tax rates are secured for at least another 2 years, but at what cost to our rising deficit? Republican Congressman Jack Kingston is from Georgia and sits on the powerful Appropriations Committee. He voted against the tax cut deal. Congressman, great to see you.
Great to be with you, Jerry.
All right, well, tell me why you voted against this. You were one of only 36 House Republicans who said no to the tax, keeping the Bush tax cuts in place.
Well, I am concerned that both parties have a tendency to talk about deficit reduction and capping spending when a bill isn't around to cap spending. And there's always the bill in front of you which they're willing to say, this one really, we're just going to pass it and then we're going to come back and fix it. And there's never a second bill. Now, in this case, the extension of unemployment insurance was completely unfunded. We knew that was coming. There's no reason not to fund that. And then you have $5 billion for ethanol. You have money for NASCAR, for Puerto Rican rum, all kinds of other things. Those should have seen the light of day. Those are basically tax earmarks. And that's one of the things most of us ran against in both parties, in fact, in November. So to me there were problems with that, and then the tax fix is not permanent, and whether you're for it or against it, I don't want to be back in this position 2 years from now, because 2 years from now we're going to have to start talking sooner than later about health care, about energy policy, about the war in the Middle East, all kinds of other things that we really need to be focusing on.
Well, when you look down the list of things in this tax bill, with $858 billion, nearly $1 trillion worth of spending, you realize that what happened is that the Democrats just accepted what the Republicans wanted, and the Republicans just accepted what the Democrats wanted. There was no discipline there. Is there any way we can look forward to discipline in the coming year? Do you think they'll get some kind of religion and stop spending so much money?
Jerry, I think, and you covered this a little bit in your last segment, and I think that both of y'all were right. The cavalry is coming. 87 new Republicans who basically started out as Tea Party grassroots, anti-government, anti-spending activists from back home. And I think they're going to have a completely different perspective than the leadership that has been maybe in both parties for many, many years, in terms of, well, in the final analysis, Washington knows best. Let's cut an inside the Beltway deal. You get a little bit, we get a little bit, and then we go home. And I got to say, both parties are guilty of this. And so I do think that the success of the Tea Party and the grassroots, if you will, was a rebellion against this, and I think that was one reason why I voted no. I think this was an inside the Beltway deal. It was old-fashioned politics, and it's what America rejected.
Well, I'm looking at the kind of stimulus we've had over the last several years. The original stimulus to fix the economy after the meltdown in mortgages, $814 billion. QE2, which the Federal Reserve has just announced, $600 billion. Income tax we just passed, $340 billion. Payroll tax holiday, $112 billion. This is a massive amount of spending. Is there a problem? Could there be a problem of overheating the economy here, sending inflation through the roof?
Absolutely. Right now, our debt is 96% of our GDP. If we look at countries like Ireland and Spain and Greece and all the problems that they're having, their debt to GDP ratio is lower than ours. And I want to say that actually started in May of '08 with the Bush stimulus bill of $168 billion, followed by the Fannie and Freddie bailout in July of '08 of $200 billion, and then in November of '08, famously, the TARP bill, $700 billion. And not to mention what the Federal Reserve has done for AIG and Bear Stearns. Bear Stearns, $29 billion.
It goes
AIG.
on and on and on. Here's the irony. Here's the irony. So the GOP wins today. Republicans take away a win today, they believe. But in 2012, the economy may recover and recover handsomely because of all this stimulus. Then the Republicans lose the presidency because of this action taken today. Do you believe that could be the case? What do you see when you look forward?
I think from a political standpoint, this puts President Obama's reelection effort in a much better position. And another thing is that the payroll tax relief is going to expire a year from now. So we as Republicans in the majority are going to be in a position of increasing taxes on payroll and Social Security. And that's going to be very, very difficult because you're going to be going into an election year. So, no, I think the President came out real well on this. And to me, though, if it was a permanent fix and the battle was real, it would have been a different situation. But this was only a 2-year Band-Aid, and somebody said that you do not give a 5-year loan on a 2-year tax policy, so you're not going to have the economic recovery that we all hope to have.
Well, I have to ask you, are we going to get a continuing resolution to keep the government functioning? I'm not sure what they do over the weekend. I don't know what government employees do on Saturdays, but presumably it's not unimportant.
Well, Jerry, we just passed something else out of the House, so it's going to go back to the Senate, and it keeps the government open till Wednesday. We will be coming back here on Tuesday, and then hopefully by then the Senate will come to its senses. Now, you know, as a House member, I got to tell you, you got to be very patient when dealing with the U.S. Senate. We did get them to drop the omnibus, and the omnibus with over 6,000 earmarks in today's market, it's just unbelievable. But, you know, to his credit, Harry Reid pulled the plug on that. Again, a lot of bipartisan support for that bill. But the Senate, we're moving them slowly. So I'm confident that we can come back with a CR, continuing resolution that'll take us till February, and then we will come back with a new Congress in January and get back to work on what we can do to improve the budget and hold the spending down.
Well, as a member of the Appropriations Committee, I'm sure you're pleased that you don't have to dole out all those earmarks. Congressman, thanks for helping us out today. Really appreciate it. You've got to come back.
Thanks, Jerry. Take care.